Hello again, it's Ronnie Bringle, and I'm still painting Santa face. Today what I'd like to do is to really refine the detail on the face, get the color the way I want it to be. Now that I've established pretty much the features of the face, I've kind of gotten them all in the right place and going the right direction, I want to start adding some of the depth and some of the fine detail. So I've zoomed in on the picture so that you'll be able to see all the tiny little detail that I'll be working on. I'm going to be using the burnt sienna or brown earth and my flesh tone or skin tone base and my light flesh. For now, just those three colors and my liner brush. And I'm just going to start what I call picking at the face, and just pick out little places where I know I need to increase some darkness. I'm not too worried at this point about blending those things, but I do want to establish where I have the dark values. So I'll start at the top and I'll just move downward. Let's start with the forehead. I noticed that on mine I have a few little lines here that I think are going the wrong direction. They're kind of slanting downward towards the eye instead of slanting across the top of the forehead. So I'm just going to gently go in and make a few changes. I'll put in just a few little lines that will indicate what direction those wrinkles should be taking. Now these will all be blended and smoothed in a little bit later. Okay, so then I'll move to this eyelid here that I would like to darken. I'm just going to use my liner brush and my burnt sienna, and I'll just tuck some dark right up in there into that crease. I can also see that there's quite a bit of more darkness in this part of the eye, so I'm just going to kind of gently whisk a little bit in there. I'll come back with my blender brush in a few minutes and actually get that blended in better. On the other eye, I want to create a little more darkness behind the nose. So I'm going to come in and dry brush darkness right along the nose to the left side. So I've got quite a bit of dark in here. And all I'm doing is laying that paint down and then just kind of rubbing it around. I see that the flesh under his eye should be curving somewhat right in here. So I'm just going to put a little line there and then kind of whisk around to blend it. Now on the other side, I want to create a little bit more depth on the wrinkles. So I'll come in to here, to the corner of the eye, and just work a couple of little lines that are going to turn into wrinkles a little bit better. Now I noticed on mine that I did for you as a demo, the nostril actually is going upward just a little bit more than it should. It should go off to the side more. So I'm going to put a little bit of darkness in there and pull that hole down. I'll come back in a minute and add the light to the top part. I'm just kind of reshaping things a little bit with the dark, and then I'll smooth things out with the light. His lip, now that I kind of see where the mustache is going to be, I can see that the bottom lip needs to come upwards a little bit in the corners to give him a little bit more of a smile. And so I'm going to put some burnt sienna right in where I want that lower lip to curve upward. I want to make sure that I've got a dark separation between the two lips, so I'm going to make sure and enhance that a little bit. Now I want to add some darkness to the left and right sides of the lip. We're not going to worry about those hairs that we put on for the mustache. We're building the mustache and the beard slowly. We'll put things in, we'll take them out, we'll put them in, we'll take them out. As we go along, we'll see better exactly what we need to do. I can see in my photo that my lip can go a little bit darker along the bottom edge on the lip. Still just using my burnt sienna. Okay, now I'll take my light value. In this case, because I'm making corrections, I don't want to go too light. So I'm just going to use my skin tone base, flesh tone, and I'm using my little spotter brush. Okay, I'll come back up to the top, and now I'll get the wrinkles in the forehead going in the right direction. So just using my skin tone, I'm going to tap in there and get those wrinkles pointed the right way, because I actually had them going the wrong way. Alright, so now between the dark lines, we want to create some light flesh for the wrinkles under the under the eye. We'll create a little bit of dark lightness. This is just the straight skin tone, it's not the highlight color. You want to make sure that this part of the lid comes down over the crease. So we put that in, and make sure that this part of the eye over here is kind of puffy. So we'll just kind of dabbing. Now the nasolabial fold, well, let's do the nostril first. What I want to do is pull some of the flesh from the nose down over the nostril. To make that nostril more flat. I had it just a little bit sticking up in the air. So I want to pull that down. Now the nasolabial fold is a little bit lighter in towards the nose. So I'm going to go back and under the nose as well. I'm just going to dab some of my flesh tone in place. So alongside the nose, actually a lot of times the flesh towards the nose is light and the edge of the puffy cheek is dark, but it's real easy to start thinking just the opposite, that it's dark inside there but light on the cheek. So we'll get some light back in there. Alright, I'm going to wash my brush and go back to, I'm going to still use my little spotter or my number 2 Bringle blender, round Bringle blender, and I'm going to do kind of a dry rub now, where I'm just going to come in and start moving some of this dark to create, and all I'm doing, I can't really tell you exactly, you know, what to do, where to do it, because you're going to have various different corrections that need to be made on your own, but you have to look at the photograph. I'm just trying to show you some places where possibly you might need to create more depth on the face or more light on the face, but you kind of have to look at your own to see what it is you need. Going into the corner of the eye, it's very dark there. It's also dark above the eye on the lid, but then it lightens up as it goes into that fatter part of the eyelid. So we've got a little bit of dark here, and generally I take my dark a little bit further than what I actually want it to be, so that I can then blend my light back into it and get a nice blend that way. If you look at this far left eye, you'll see that the top of the cheek is somewhat dark. Okay, I've got, I'm just going to pick up the skin tone base and pull this down a little bit further here. The eyelash will come in there and make a difference. But then we've got some light that comes right along the edge of the face, right here, and then blends into the dark. So that establishes that edge of his face, but then it goes into the dark. Okay, so we'll come back with some light, blend that into the dark. I'm just doing kind of a dry rub. I'm going to put some light back on the cheek right here. Got light again. I want to establish a nice light area on the tip of his nose. It's bigger on the right side and tapers off as it goes to the left. I'll start getting just a little bit light on the lips so I can see whether or not I've got things going there in the right direction. I'm also going to come under the lip with a little bit of, I think light is too light and burnt sienna is too dark, so I'm going to mix the two together and come right under the lip and place that on the chin under the lip to shape that lip the way I want it. Okay, now that I've kind of reestablished some of the detail, I'm going to do a dry rub on the face, and this is what I call this searching, because you're just kind of putting your brush down and searching around for places where you need this color. So it's the burnt sienna or brown earth on a round Bringle blender, and I'm going to start in a safe place here and just go in and create the darkness that I need all over the face. One of the reasons I like to do it this way, I like to put some flesh on and then put some hair on and then put some flesh on and then go back to the hair, instead of getting the flesh all done and then pasting the hair on top of it. I really like the look of having that hair look like it's growing out of the flesh instead of being an afterthought. So I don't finish up the face and then do the hair, or finish up the hair and then go back to the face. I like to just do a little on each element and then bring them both up together. So right now I'm adding dark value kind of all over the face, because in order to get everything to blend, you kind of have to mix the light and the dark together. Any of those wrinkles that still look like they're standing out too much, I'll rub over them. Now you'll want to take this, you'll want to dry this with a hair dryer so that you can then do a dry stipple and a dry rub with your lighter value. So I'm going to I'll just use my straight skin tone base, the flesh tone. I'm going to stipple now. Basically, in the previous demonstrations, I've showed you the steps, the various different things that I do to make the face take shape, to give it the lights and the darks that it needs. From this point forward, there really isn't anything particularly new that I do on the face. It's a matter of repeating the things that I've already done and going back and blending more darks in place, blending more lights in place, and just picking it to death. Like I said, you just kind of keep going a little bit at a time until you build those values up to the way you want them. I'm almost to the point on his face here that I'm just about done with the flesh. I'll probably put a blush on today, and then I'll let all of that dry, and we'll go back to the beard and mustache next time, and then we'll see what the final little lights and darks are that we need to put on the face. But right now I'm just kind of using my my blender, my round blender, and the one that I'm using is probably a little bit big. You might want to use a 4 or a 2 to kind of just stipple and dry rub. Just make sure that you're rubbing your light all the way into your dark, and then when you do your dark, rub it back into the light again. Don't try to keep them separate. You want to create medium values. I'm going to wash and go back to my burnt sienna, brown earth, and I'll get a little bit more on there. And then I'll probably play around with him a little bit more, but he's looking pretty good, so I'll have to see what he looks like with some more hair on. Okay, I've got my brown earth in my brush, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of the cadmium red light or naphthol red light, really work that into my brush and blot it very well. And then I'm just going to tickle, I'm just going to dry rub, tickling a little bit of red, kind of a brownish red. And if it goes into the light area too much, not to worry, because next week we'll come back with some more light. Okay, so now I feel like he's getting about enough blush on there. I don't want to go back to my light value because I will then make my red very, very bright hot pink, so I don't want to do that. So I think what I'll do is I'll take him to the dryer, I'll dry him, and then maybe we'll do a little bit more beard work. Alright, he's nice and dry now. So I think what I'll do is the next step on the beard and mustache, I'm going to create the volume that I want by doing a wash. So I'm going to do the dark white or smoked pearl, and I'm just going to wash all of the beard. I'm going to carefully do this. It's kind of a dry wash. I don't have a lot of it on my brush, but I just want to kind of fill in and give the hair some volume without doing it all with strokes. Just be careful not to do too much. By now you should not be able to see the edge of his flesh, maybe just a tiny bit, but not much. Let's give him a little wash on his eyebrows. This is a very dry wash, so it's almost like a dry brush that I'm doing. But it's thinned down so that you can still see the work you did on the hair previously. Okay, so when that's dry, and it'll just take a few seconds for that to dry, then go back to your dark white or your dirty white, I can't remember what it's called, one or the other, smoked pearl. And again now, you're going to work, if you want him to have kind of short, wiry kind of hair, you're going to work mostly in just short little dabs. I'm going to use the oval blender. You can use a 6 or an 8, I think would probably be good. Get up on the chisel and just create lots and lots and lots of these little short, all I'm doing is tapping it on the tip of the brush. I'm scooping the paint up onto the tip, and then I'm just doing lots of just touch down tapping on the tip of the brush. All the detail and the little wiry curly stuff will happen next time. That means my time is just about up. So I just want to create kind of a fullness of these little taps, little short hairs, not long sweeping hairs like we do sometimes. This guy has a little bit more wiry hair. And I'll finish this up, and next time we'll do more detail on the hair and the beard and the mustache and the eyebrows. Hopefully we'll finish up all the detail on the eyes, maybe get his flesh done, and we'll be just about done with him. His face anyway. We'll do a little bit of work on a few of the toys. So have fun with that, and I'll see you next time.